The invention of the automobile predates the airplane by just 17 years, which many may find surprising. After all, driving is far more simple than flying, so it stands to reason that we should have figured out one before the other. But as it turns out, these two things have always been a lot closer than you would think, especially when it comes to this company in particular.
4 seconds to intercept. Roger, tar. Looking good.
Only one aircraft manufacturer makes cars. Sierra, Alpha, Alpha, Bravo, Saab.
Swedish Airplane Corporation. That's what the Saab stands for in Swedish. But what does aviation have to do with building cars? And more importantly, how did a company once known for its unbreakable, top quality vehicles went bankrupt and fade into obscurity? It's 1937. The Swedish government is a little concerned about its bully neighbor, and tensions are rising. To prepare for the worst, they bolstered their manufacturing capabilities, focusing heavily on defense. This meant ramping up production of armored vehicles, tanks, and aircraft. This is when Saab was founded. It was a government-backed entity focused on aircraft production. The first aircraft Saab built was the Saab 17, a twin-engine dive bomber developed during the World War II. The Saab 17 had a unique design for a dive bomber, with retractable landing gear and a streamlined all-metal construction, which was a big leap forward for the era. Another iconic airplane built by the company was Saab 2929. It was among the very first successful jet-powered fighters produced outside of the major powers like the United States, Germany, and the Soviet Union. Powered by a Swedish-built Volvo RM1 turbojet engine, it had a top speed of around 680 miles per hour and a range of 500 miles, making it an ideal jet for defense. While Saab designed several other planes for various purposes, one thing remained constant: they were tough and reliable. During World War II, Saab established a legacy of building durable, reliable machines, a philosophy that would become deeply ingrained in the brand. After the war ended and demand for military aircraft had plummeted, the manufacturer faced a critical question: what's next? What opportunities were out there for a young, ambitious company? The answer was cars, especially when post-war Europe was poised for a surge in demand. After a new direction was set, 16 engineers were picked from the plane constructing division. And then people who, according to rumors, didn't even have their driver's license started working on the automobile. In 1946, the very first prototype, the Saab 92, rolled out onto the road. The 92 wasn't just a random number. As you might have guessed, it was part of the company's established system. Up until then, numbers below 92 had only been used for aircraft. When the engineers transitioned to cars, they decided to carry on the traditional numbering system. It made sense given the design of the prototype. It had many similarities to an aircraft. The body was reminiscent of an airplane fuselage, with enclosed wheels, a distinctive belt line, and a sharply tapered front end. You could tell that the aircraft engineering team had a hand in shaping the aerodynamics of the car. After 3 years of testing, the final road-legal version of the prototype rolled off Saab's assembly line. While the design was smoother and simpler than the prototype, the car's technology was on par with the most advanced cars of its time. Independent suspension on each wheel, front-wheel drive, a unibody construction, and a two-stroke, two-cylinder engine that produced 25 horsepower, accelerating the car to 60 miles per hour. The Saab 92 had its quirks too. Its turn signals operated in an unusual way, and color-wise, you didn't have many options. In fact, you only had one option: green. The thing is, Saab had leftover camouflage paint from the war, originally used it on their planes, and engineers thought it was a perfect way to get rid of it. Remember, it's 1949. Rally racing and ice racing on frozen lakes were becoming more and more popular in Sweden. So, Saab thought that joining the Swedish rally scene just 2 weeks after starting production of their very first car was a good idea. And it was. The results were immediate. Saab took second place in its class, catching the attention of enthusiasts and leading to skyrocketing sales. Following the successful launch of the 92, the automaker built on this momentum with the launch of the Saab 93. They upgraded the engine to a 3-cylinder, which produced 33 horsepower, but by modifying carburetors, exhaust systems, and ignition timing, tuners could easily coax more than 60 horsepower from that tiny engine. It sounds comical in today's world, but back then it was unstoppable. The Saab 93 won races against more powerful competitors like the Volkswagen Beetle, Ford Zephyr, and even early models of the Jaguar XK120 on tighter, more technical rally stages. The Saab 93's secret wasn't raw speed, but its lightness, balance, and unmatched agility. With a curb weight of just over 1,700 pounds, the car danced through corners where heavier, more powerful competitors struggled for grip. The car's bump and power, combined with its robust suspension and front-wheel drive layout, made it a dominant force on gravel, snow, and ice, terrain where traction mattered more than outright speed. A key figure in most of the Saab's rallying success was Erik Karlsson, who started competing with the 93rd model and later the 96. Erik had become a walking legend in the automotive world, loved by fans for one singular reason: his insanity. Most of the time, the power from the Saab engines wasn't enough. Acceleration wasn't the car's strong suit, so once it gained speed, maintaining it became crucial, and Erik, he nailed it. His ability to drive at incredible high speeds often stole the show. Erik would go full throttle in parts of the track where the other drivers wouldn't even touch the accelerator. Sometimes, this led to flipped car accidents and earned him the nickname Karlsson on the roof. But more often than not, it looked epic and claimed him numerous titles. Saab was riding high, consistently winning races and selling cars, but it was time for innovation. The earlier models, while successful, were mostly just a refreshed version of the original Saab 92. It was clear the company needed something entirely new. The turning point came with the Saab 99. This model left behind the outdated and primitive 2-stroke engine, replacing it with a modern and practical 4-stroke, 4-cylinder engine. For this new project, the automaker designed the drivetrain in a really unusual way. The engine was rotated 180 degrees, placing the flywheel at the front of the car, and the transmission was mounted directly underneath the engine. This unique configuration made maintenance easier, especially when it came to changing the clutch, which you would do quite often on a manual car. The Saab 99 would also become one of the very first production cars to offer a turbocharged engine. In 1978, the first ever Saab 98 Turbo rolled off the assembly line, instantly earning its place as a dream car for enthusiasts, and it's easy to see why. With 143 horsepower, a 0 to 60 mile/hour time of just 8 seconds, and a curb weight of around 2,600 pounds, the 99 Turbo wasn't just fast. Frankly, it was quicker than the Porsche 924, which debuted in the same year. Even though enthusiasts welcomed the car very well, most of the market was really skeptical of turbochargers in production cars, and the company faced some challenges in educating the public about the benefits of turbocharging, as well as combating widespread misconceptions. At the time, turbochargers were primarily associated with high-performance racing vehicles, and many consumers were unsure about their reliability and everyday usability in regular cars. There was a prevailing belief that turbocharged engines were complex, finicky, and difficult to maintain. Additionally, the increased power that came from turbocharging was often misunderstood. Some feared that a turbocharging engine would be too aggressive or prone to overheating, while others simply didn't know what turbocharging even meant. Saab, however, was set to change these perceptions. They worked hard to educate consumers on how the turbocharger worked and how it could make their cars more responsive and powerful without sacrificing reliability. One of Saab's key strategies was to show that their turbocharged vehicles could be just as practical and reliable as any other car, despite the new technology under the hood. The Saab 99 Turbo became a key example of this philosophy. With its sophisticated turbocharged engine, the 99 Turbo offered a significant increase in horsepower while maintaining automakers' hallmark focus on durability and safety. Through careful marketing and education, the automakers slowly began to turn the tide of public opinion. Over time, turbocharging became a major selling point, and Saab's turbocharged cars gained popularity not just among enthusiasts, but with everyday drivers as well. As if all that weren't enough, Saab's engineers took things even further with the 99 Turbo S. This version introduced a counterintuitive yet highly effective feature: water injection into air-fuel mixture. Yes, water into the combustion process. While it might sound odd, this wasn't some gimmick. Water injection had already been used successfully in aircraft engines, and Saab just adapted the technology for automotive designs. A small amount of water was injected into the intake manifold, where it mixed with air and fuel. The water instantly cooled the air-fuel mixture, increasing its density. This denser mixture allowed for more air and fuel to enter the combustion chamber, leading to a temporary boost in power. It also significantly reduced emissions. It was a clever, engineering-driven solution to extract more performance without overloading the engine. Later, Saab experimented with mixing water and alcohol to further optimize the process. Over time, however, intercoolers were introduced, eventually replacing this technology. The Saab 99 also introduced another iconic feature, which later would become a tradition: the relocation of the ignition key. Instead of the traditional placement on the steering column, Saab moved the keyhole to the center console between the driver and passenger seats. The main reason for this move was safety. In the event of a crash, traditionally key placements often resulted in knee injuries to the driver. Additionally, the company's design philosophy aimed to give the car a cockpit-like feel. The centrally mounted ignition key, wraparound windshield, and distinctive dashboard designs all contributed to this vision. The 99 also featured self-restoring bumpers designed to withstand minor impacts and return to their original shape. The Saab 99 was yet another success for the brand, and it wasn't just well received in Sweden, it gained admiration internationally.
Little details aside, this is a fantastic car.
This is a truly fantastic car. This is a legendary car.
It is. I used to covet this massively.
After the Saab 99, in 1979 the Saab 900 came along, and just like the previous models, it quickly became successful. But not only that, it also earned the title of the brand's best-selling car. The Saab 900 had pretty much everything you could want: a unique design, solid build quality, top-notch safety, and crazy reliability. It was, quite literally, unbreakable. Peter Gilbert of Wisconsin is better qualified than most to verify that statement. He's driven 1 million miles in his 1989 Saab 900 SPG. Same engine, same turbo, driving an average of 1,130 miles a week, 52 weeks a year, and for 17 years. Over all that time, the car only needed a few repairs. He swapped out one gear in the gearbox and replaced the engine block gasket 3 times. That was it. After hitting this insane milestone, he donated the car to the Wisconsin Automotive Museum, where it's now a symbol of Saab's durability. But the Saab 900 wasn't just built to last, it was also a pioneer when it came to safety. Like its Swedish counterpart Volvo, Saab was obsessed with its customer safety. The 900 went through some of the toughest crash tests around, both on computers and in the real world. Company engineers reinforced the chassis and developed the car with the most advanced safety tech for that time, which earned the 900 the title of one of the safest cars in Europe. Even Top Gear put this to the test in their unconventional style. In a dramatic demonstration, they dropped 2 cars, a Saab 900 and a BMW 3 Series, from a height of 2.5 meters. The results? Saab emerged as the clear winner. The crushed remains of the BMW couldn't hold a candle to the resilience of the 900's reinforced chassis. In the 1980s, Saab, as a relatively small car manufacturer, while being successful, still didn't have the same financial resources as larger competitors. During that period, the automotive industry faced rising costs for research and development, especially with the increasing demand for advanced technology and more stringent safety and emission standards. To stay competitive, Saab needed a teammate. So in 1984, they decided to partner with Fiat. However, this wasn't their first attempt at collaboration with Fiat. Previous efforts, like the Saab Lancia 600, had been a misstep. Developed as a compact sedan to fill a gap in Saab's lineup, it was a product of their earlier partnership with Fiat's Italian brand Lancia. The Saab Lancia 600, which was essentially a rebadged Lancia Delta, failed to meet the high expectations of Saab's customers. It didn't offer the durability, safety features, or attention to detail that Saab had become known for, and it didn't have the sporty edge that Lancia customers were looking for. Additionally, the car's styling didn't align with Saab's design language, leading to further confusion about its identity in the market. This previous collaboration taught Saab valuable lessons that they applied when embarking on the next chapter with Fiat. This time, the partnership produced the Saab 9000, a car built on a shared platform with 3 other cars: the Fiat Croma, Lancia Thema, and Alfa Romeo 164. While the latter 3 were nearly identical, the Saab 9000 stood apart. Build quality, engine options, safety, and even thickness of its body panels were way ahead of its counterparts. What was acceptable to the Italians didn't meet the high standards of the Swedish engineers. Saab constantly aimed to show the world that they were different, and in 1986, they proved it. That year, Saab brought 3 Saab 9000 turbos to the Talladega Superspeedway, a track renowned for its high-speed NASCAR races. Their mission? To demonstrate the reliability and durability of their vehicles. For 20 consecutive days through rain and fog, the cars raced almost non-stop, pausing only for tire changes, refueling, and driver swaps. By the end of the grueling 20-day test, the 3 cars had set 21 international records and 2 world records. Together, they covered nearly 62,000 miles at an average speed of over 132 miles per hour, including all pit stops. All that was achieved without a single engine or transmission failure. They proved once and for all that they are exceptional.
Some cars you buy because you have to, and some because you want to. Have to, want to. Have to, want to. Then there's the Saab 9000S, a sports sedan powered by the largest engine Saab ever built, plus the space and solidity of a station wagon. In short, a major setback for the spirit of compromise. The 9000S, we don't make compromises, we make Saabs.
The partnership with Fiat, however, was short-lived. Both companies needed partners better aligned with their long-term goals. Saab, as a relatively small manufacturer, needed a larger partner with substantial financial resources and global reach, something Fiat couldn't provide at the time. So despite the success of the Saab 9000, the collaboration ended in 1989 as the companies moved in different directions. Just 1 year later, Saab found a new partner when the US automotive giant General Motors acquired a 50% stake in the company. The two quickly began working on the next generation of the Saab 900. However, there was one concern about this collaboration. Giants like GM love cutting expenses, and the best way to do that is developing one universal platform to build as many cars as possible on it. This strategy is a big part of why giants like VW Group, GM, and Stellantis are profitable. However, this approach often comes at a cost: the uniqueness and identity of smaller brands. In many cases, it also compromises build quality. Unlike Fiat, a smaller company that allowed Saab to maintain its high and often expensive build standards, GM was less accommodating. GM began enforcing its cost-saving strategy on Saab, leading to the new Saab 900 sharing a platform with its Opel Vectra. And of course, this didn't sit well with the brand or its fans. The unification with Opel had a huge impact on Saab's reputation. Whether it was reasonable or not, it is difficult to say. But if you really dig into it, you will find out that the Saab only shared about 30% of its parts with Opel. So, it's safe to say that Saab managed to preserve most of its DNA. To prove this, Saab returned to the Talladega Superspeedway. This time over the course of 10 days, 3 vehicles covered a combined 62,000 miles at an average speed of 137 miles per hour, once again without any repairs, earning them another set of endurance records. Records aside, Saab's internal struggles continued as scandals brewed under the management of General Motors. The American auto giant pressured the Swedish engineers to cut costs by compromising their high standards of development. However, Saab's engineers resisted, refusing to adopt the simpler, cheaper, and lower quality standards that GM wanted to impose. Frustrated by this defiance, GM took full control in the 2000s, buying 100% of Saab's shares. Saab was now entirely under GM's control. Many Saab enthusiasts point to this moment as the turning point for the company, the beginning of its decline. The new Saab 9.3 and 9.5 models, fully developed under GM's leadership, were built on the same platform as the Opel Vectra. Despite being forced to use many Opel parts, Saab's engineers still somehow managed to maintain a commendable level of build quality. The cars retain Saab's signature features: powerful engines, unique and beautiful designs, reliability, and meticulous attention to detail. I will go even further and will add that Saab could even compete with the premium German trio. But something essential was missing. Under GM's management, a series of marketing missteps were made. One glaring example was a decision to expand the lineup with two new models, the Saab 9.2X and the Saab 9.7X. On paper, this seemed like a good idea, but the execution was deeply flawed. Beneath the surface, the 9.2X was a rebadged Subaru Impreza, while the 9.7X was a rebadged Chevrolet Trailblazer. In their pursuit of cost savings, GM resorted to these badge engineering tactics, which Saab fans saw as a betrayal. The cars lacked Saab's Swedish identity. While the Subaru Impreza was a great car with a dedicated fan base, the 9.2X and 9.7X were not embraced by Saab loyalists. Neither model was designed by Saab itself, and they felt disconnected from the brand's heritage. Unsurprisingly, both cars failed in the market. Production was cut, and Saab's situation got worse. The final blow came with the 2008 global financial crisis.
The stock market is now down 21%.
Because we're now down 43%.
At the same time, has fallen about 18%.
Sales plummeted, with losses estimated at hundreds of millions of dollars. The very company responsible for these problems, the General Motors, decided to cut its losses and walk away, selling Saab off. After extensive discussions with multiple potential buyers, eventually the Dutch supercar manufacturer Spyker acquired Saab, but this didn't turn things around. Spyker rushed the development of the new Saab 9.5, hoping it would save the brand. They also introduced the Saab 9.4X, an SUV developed on the Cadillac SRX platform. But it didn't meet expectations and sales were dismal. This was a complete disaster, and with Saab running out of money, Spyker simply couldn't cover the costs. In a last-ditch effort, a few Chinese companies expressed interest in buying Saab, offering a glimmer of hope. However, General Motors, still supplying Saab with engines and transmissions, imposed strict restrictions, preventing any sale to the Chinese for fear that their technology would be stolen. Saab found itself in a deadlock. No one wanted to buy the company, and whenever a potential buyer showed up, General Motors sabotaged the deal. The company was drowning in debt, and creditors were breathing down their necks. After 3 years of desperate attempts to stay afloat, Saab finally gave up. On April 16, 2012, Saab filed for bankruptcy. And just like that, another company dedicated to producing high-quality cars was lost forever.